Hi, everyone. I'm here to share some cosmic wisdom for the upcoming Libra season. The sun moves into 0 degrees of Libra on September 22nd at exactly 9:04 p.m. in Eastern time here in New York. So you can do the math and figure out what time that is for you where you're living in the world. But that move of the sun into 0 degrees of the cardinal sign of Libra is that is the autumnal equinox. And the word equinox, meaning equal, balanced, fair. It is the equal time of daylight hours, which is ruled by the sun, and nighttime hours, which is ruled by the moon. So there's an exact even amount of daylight and nighttime on the equinox. The spring equinox we have when the sun moves into 0 degrees of Aries, which is the cardinal initiating energy of self, my desires, my goals, my will. You can go back and look at the video I did when it was in Aries season back in March, excuse me, back in March. But now when we find ourselves in September at the beginning of Libra, we're in cardinal air sign. And what Libra is characterized by is relationship. So instead of it being about what do I want to initiate for myself of my own will, my own goals, my own efforts, this is much more about what do I want to initiate around my relationships, around how I interact and connect with the other, my friend, my partner, my coworker, my child, my parent. Um, we can also include ourselves in that. How do I connect with my own self, right? With my inner voices, my inner soul. It's like relationship with self, with other, and ultimately it's relationship with the planet, and with whatever we understand to be higher power or source, the infinite, right? So this quality of relationship in Libra, the sign for Libra is the scales, which represents the scales of balance. Libra is often associated with the goddess Athena, which is, wisdom and clarity and this sense of fairness and justice. Um, Other words relating to Libra: relationship, partnership, fairness, equity, diplomacy, mediation, negotiation, compromise, give and take, sharing, balance, harmony. So these are all very Libra words. Peace seeking. So how do we seek more peacefulness and harmony in our relationships? How do we seek more fairness of what I give and what I receive? Of the balance between my needs and your needs, uh, the balance between my ideas, my thoughts, my point of view and perspective, and yours. So this is a really great time to look deeply at our relationships. I'll show you what else is happening actually as the sun moves into Libra. I'm going to share a screen with you guys here. This is the chart of the moment that the sun moves into Libra, and you'll notice all these little RXs are retrogrades. So right now, so much of what's going on in the cosmos in terms of planetary movement is retrograde. Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Jupiter, Chiron, Uranus, and Mercury is they're all in retrograde. And that Mercury retrograde is exactly at 0 degrees sitting with the sun. Um, we also have this, you could see there's kind of a grand trine here going on in Earth with Venus. Venus being in Virgo is trining that Pluto in Capricorn and that Uranus in Taurus. And Venus is the ruler of Libra. So there's a groundedness actually and a looking backward and reviewing, reevaluating, reassessing. Anytime we have retrograde energy, it invites us to go within and kind of let ourselves reflect rather than jump in and outward being in motion or action around something. Let me stop that share. Okay, so what would be really good work to do in this Libra season? I just want to add that Rosh Hashanah, which is the head of the year or the new year, Jewishly, is associated with the new moon in Libra, and that actually happens just a couple days after the equinox this year, which is going to be on Sunday night of the Jewish New Year starts Sunday evening, September 25th, with the new moon in Libra. So, what is that work? That work of beginning anew with ourselves, with our relationships, and with God or source. How do we come back and return? And that's the retrograde element. So a big theme of the Jewish holidays is teshuvah, which means it's often interpreted as forgiveness, right? How do we forgive ourselves and others? But really, forgiveness is about letting something go. It doesn't mean we forget. It doesn't mean that thing never happened, but it's an opportunity to heal around what occurred in the past, right? So another translation of teshuvah is to return, to come back to some elements of the past so that we can heal them, and then return to how we want to show up in this present moment and going forward. So we're not just an extension of and a continuation of past hurts and regrets and mistakes. We're actually renewing ourselves and renewing our relationships so that we can realign to really what we understand our best, highest potential to be of how we want to express in the world. So I have an exercise for you that comes from Thich Nhat Hanh. I'm going to share again on screen. Okay, so Thich Nhat Hanh, he wrote many, many books and he offered many very profound and important teachings. One of his books that I love, I'll show both of these to you guys actually. So this is a teaching that comes from this book, which is called How to Fight. Haha, very, very helpful. And this one is How to Love. So both are very much about relationship. And this exercise is called Beginning Anew. And I'll just read, this is a quote from the book, but he says, beginning anew is a practice to help resolve conflict or difficulty. To begin anew is to look honestly at ourselves, at what we have thought, said, or done that has contributed to the conflict. It is a practice of recognition and appreciation of the positive elements within ourselves and the other person. We can practice beginning anew with our partner, parents, children, friends, or coworkers. You might ask a trusted neutral or loving third party to be present and hold space for you in this exercise. So you'll have this video. You can watch this and practice this. But I'll just share briefly that the steps are first what he calls flower watering, and this idea that we all need to be nurtured and loved and taken care of. And the way we do that in our partnerships is to really express what we see and love and appreciate and value in the other person, right? Like sometimes we get really stingy about praise and affection and love, and it's easier to focus on all the things that are wrong and the bad qualities, and you did this and you never do this. But this is an opportunity to begin with the positive that is real and honest and truthful. So expressing the positive qualities you see in the other so that they understand that you see them and you value them. The second step is taking personal responsibility, sharing your regrets. This is what I regret in how I've treated you and how I've behaved, in the things I've thought about you, the way I've harmed you, either in thought or in deed. Um, these are the areas that I recognize I've been unskillful. I have not really shown up the way I would have wanted to or the way you deserved. And I'm sorry for that. I recognize my own unskillfulness. I acknowledge it. And I've contributed to this conflict on some level because of that. So taking that honest step of owning your own stuff, right? And then the third step is expressing hurt in an honest and safe container of, and I would use I statements for this, not you did this and you did that and you always and you never, not helpful. What is helpful is to say, this is how it makes me feel when I try to talk to you and you are distracted on your cell phone and you don't make time. Or this is how I felt when you know, did this thing that this is how it affected me. So it's bringing awareness to the other person around the ways that maybe their actions or words or unskillfulness hurts you or doesn't meet a need that you have. So it's a chance to acknowledge that there are some hurts that have arisen and you acknowledge that this is my perception of it, but also understanding that they may have a completely different perception of what was done, said. So it's just owning this is how I perceive this, and this is how that perception affected me. And then the last step is to really state your intention. What is my intention is I love you, I care deeply about you, about our friendship, about our relationship. This is what I hope for the future. This is what I need and how it would be helpful if you could support me in that need. And maybe stating an intention, I really want to understand you and your needs. Can you help me to understand that? So it's a beautiful exercise. I'm not going to pretend that it's an easy exercise. There may be people in your life where the hurts are very deep or there's real trauma from the past or that has been internalized. I'm not suggesting that you re-traumatize yourself in something that is that intense, but in a relationship with someone where you feel you can create that safe space and have that communication, there could be something really beautiful and cathartic about starting again. It's almost like a renewal of vows, a renewal of our commitment to each other, and to help each other understand and navigate, what we need, what we are hoping for, and how we might do that in relationship. Um, I will say you don't have to do this with a person in real life sitting in front of you. You can actually just go through the exercise with that person in your mind and heart. Really visualize them sitting and listening. And you can also draw in a third party who is a neutral person. It could be a live person, it could be someone who's a fictional character, it could be someone from your past, someone who's not even alive anymore, but someone who can hold this gentle space to really see and hear and witness and maybe offer a different perspective and wisdom, right? Not someone who's just going to side with you against the other person, but so you can call into your heart and mind in real life, in the real world, doing this as an exercise or in your own kind of meditation practice and say what needs to be said, right? Really speak your truth, speak your vulnerability, and really reflect on what is it I'm committed to and I'm able to do in this relationship to move forward. So I hope that's helpful for you. Good luck. If you do practice that exercise, um, I definitely invite you if you want to reach out to me with a quick email or in the comments below the video and just share whether that was positive, whether that moved something forward for you and how that felt. I will share that I've done this exercise actually with Thich Nhat Hanh on a family retreat at his um, monastery in New York. It's about 9 years ago now with my son, who was 14 years old at the time, and we were up at this retreat together. Actually, he was 13, um, and we had had some conflict. It wasn't an easy time in our relationship, and we did this exercise together, and it was very vulnerable, and it was really beautiful, and it was a new beginning. It was a restart. And I also have another client who I recently worked with and shared this exercise with, and she did it with her husband, and they were at a real crisis point in their marriage. And there were some things that really needed to be heard and understood. And it was very scary, but they went through this process together. And I'm in awe of how brave that is, right? But it healed a lot. It healed a lot so that they could move forward. So that's my hope for you guys this month, okay? Good luck with that. If you are a Libra birthday, happy birthday this month. If you are celebrating the Jewish high holidays, I wish you a Lashana Tova, a very good, happy, sweet, and healthy new year. As always, you know how to find me. Reach out if I could be of service. All right, guys, I'll see you next month.